Yeah.
So you want to travel to NFL land?
Yeah, we can do that. You know,
You gonna talk about your boy Brady?
what were we talking about? We were
Got
talking
a few topics.
Yeah, let's talk about the hot topic, Snyder.
Snyder.
Yeah, so we had Daniel. So we were talking about the Daniel Snyder thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Russell Wilson too. Oh yeah.
Your boy.
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about
Mr. Nice Guy Russell Wilson.
So with Russell Wilson, the Denver Broncos are now 2-4. Let's just give the storyline.
Okay.
They took this last loss, which was to the Chargers.
That was a worthy loss.
Yeah, no, they gave a fight. They couldn't win it, and the offense is horrible. I don't know what's going on. They're not producing a lot of points. Now there are some games. Now, in all fairness, Russell Wilson just got there. Nathaniel Hackett just got there. The ownership that just got there that didn't hire Nathaniel Hackett. They're in a conference in a division where you have Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert. This is what they're facing. So I mean, it's one thing. I think the alarming thing is that something's gonna have to change. And when you come in as an owner, and I can tell you now, the owners get real goofy when they first come in. Daniel Snyder did this.
Especially when they gave him that bag.
I saw Daniel Snyder do this where they gave him $250,000. Billion, yeah, like
a bag.
Yeah. So it makes me look at him like there's problems and issues, but it's just all around. So you have ownership that's probably going to start feeling a certain way, right? They're looking like, yo, wait a minute. What was alarming to me was that overtime game the week before last. That was on national TV on a Thursday night. Never forgot it. I have never in all the years of me watching football from when I was a kid has ever seen an NFL team go into overtime and the crowd leaves. The crowd was leaving. Hear what I'm saying? They still had a chance to win the game, and people were leaving. I've never seen that on
So you know what that's going to affect ticket sales. That's going to affect marketability for the franchise.
Yeah,
that's not a good look. But go ahead.
And then also to say, I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson. He's missing wide open guys. I don't know if this is going to work. He's saying all the right things. He's trying to do all the right things, but there's clearly a problem in here. And now this goes back to, and you've been saying this for years, about that whole Super Bowl thing. So let me line everything up. He comes in here. Everybody says Russell Wilson's here. We're going to get them over the hump, blah, 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 blah. Let me share you some of his numbers. They're not bad, but they ain't great either. So they
why you do that?
They lost. So this last game they lost to the Chargers. He went 15 for 28 for 188 yards for 1 touchdown and no interceptions. It's not bad, but I mean, really,
those are decent numbers, eh?
Okay. So in the overtime game, to the Colts where people were leaving, he went 21 for 39 for 274 yards with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Ouch.
And then the Raiders game, which he lost, this is the past 3 games. The Raiders game when he lost, he went 17 for 25 for 237 yards for 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Now, that wasn't bad, but they still lost. I'm watching him miss guys that's wide open. You're scrambling and you don't even have to. You have a defense that can hold teams under 20 points. You have you had a running game until this running back towards ACL, but you still got a good running game. You got Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. And on top of all this, now there's reports coming out that Russell Wilson, you can't call Russell Wilson. You have to call his manager to set up a call to talk to him. I can tell you right now, I never played on that level.
And what content?
So, like, say if you want to just call him and be like, hey, yo, Russ, I want to, you just want to get at him. You can't talk to him. You got to talk to his manager. I just want to say, that's coming from Marshawn Lynch.
Oh.
So that's a problem. That's not good at all. Meaning, in other words, this is not the rap game. What are you doing? So what happens when your receivers say they want to call you and say, hey, I think this is a great idea. Yo, we come to practice.
Basically, what you're speaking to is team chemistry.
That, and he has a diva mentality.
Okay, you just took it
That's
somewhere else.
That's bad. That's horrible.
Okay.
So I like Russell Wilson.
He JayZ in the team.
I like Russell Wilson.
You got to call the assistant.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Can you believe that? So they what's the point I'm gonna make here? They basically it's a mess. And I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett, not because he's not a good coach, and not because now if he had this team and they were just restarting with a future quarterback like Robert Saleh in New York and the Jets, that's all good. See, we don't judge Hackett, but we brought in let's call it what it is. You got brought in here because Denver thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers, so they thought we was going to have that chemistry. That fell through. So now you get Russell Wilson. And it doesn't seem to be working. I don't think it's because Hackett doesn't know what he's doing because people keep saying he's over his head. I think it's going to take time for him to adjust to Wilson, and Wilson's going to take time to adjust to him. Now, let me go here with this. Now, remember that report I just said. You got to remember in Seattle there was a lot of bad blood. They don't want to say it, but there's a lot of bad blood. First of all, with the Legion of Boom, who got you to 2 Super Bowls, and Marshawn Lynch with that running game. Not to say that he wasn't great, but what happened when the Legion of Boom left?
Crickets.
Patriots, let me put it this way. Tom Brady's had good defenses, great defenses. But even when they weren't great, he still got to a higher level. Do you see them getting to a higher level this year? Exactly. Nope. So my point is that at the end of the day, it's starting to look like what the rumors of people were saying was like he was trying to make this kid something that he wasn't. So now fast forward, you in Denver, and you and Pete Carroll wasn't seeing eye to eye, and they wasn't willing to give you a contract extension in Seattle. So you got what you wanted, and now whose fault is it now? Because we see it. The film don't lie. You're missing wide open guys. You're missing guys getting down the field. What are you doing?
Basically, what you're telling me is you should have handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch and got the second Super Bowl.
Facts.
And rode off into the sunset, because now we're looking at you to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And the film is showing that you're not that guy, pal.
And to his credit, I mean, you had to run for your life because Seattle didn't have offensive line. I don't know. Geno Smith don't seem to be having these issues. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, I think Pete Carroll just took the team back and said, I'm going to run the team the way I want to, which he has them competing. In Denver, it looks bad because the expectations are high. See, maybe in Seattle, let's just be honest. We all knew Seattle was nice prior to Russell Wilson leaving, but they weren't going to make it to another Super Bowl. We all knew that. Even with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and them in the running game, they didn't have a real defense. Their defense wasn't that great. So hear what I'm saying. You don't know what you're entailing, and I just don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go back. You guaranteed this guy almost $200 million.
Over how many years?
I think next 5 years. Is it 5? I think it's 5. I haven't looked at his contract in a while. But you got him a lot of money. You can't renege, and nobody's picking up that deal. So you're stuck with him for at least the next 2 years.
So basically, he has, for an NBA analogy, Russell Wilson has the Russell Westbrook contract.
Oh God, yeah.
That's a fair analogy?
Yeah, very fair. You're stuck with him. So even if Hackett says, hey, maybe my offense ain't working for this guy, the ownership who didn't bring him anyway be looking like, well, we're paying him this much, and I think you might want to just figure it out. Mm-hmm. Or we're going to get somebody in here to figure it out. It ain't going to be we need to go get somebody else. That ain't going to work because that guy's not going to sit the bench for $200+ million. That's never going to happen. And so that's just what it is. And mind you, you're in a conference. This ain't like, no disrespect, this ain't the AFC South. This is the AFC West where there's 3 other quarterbacks that can put up 30 points with their eyes closed.
Where does Russell Wilson compare to those other 3 if you had to rank them? If you had to rank
He's the bottom of the barrel right now.
If you had to rank the AFC West top quarterbacks, where does Russell Wilson fit?
Out of 16, he's probably 12. Maybe 10th.
Breaking my heart, man.
Maybe 10th. There's a lot of quarterbacks. You're talking about Josh Allen. You're talking about Tua, who's shown that he can play, which we'll talk about that another time because I don't know why he's even thinking about playing this week. But then again, look at the owner. and that scumbag coach. And that's another conversation for another day. You're talking about Tannehill. You're talking about the other three I just named.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 7, 8. So he's ranked 10th.
Okay.
Probably 10th.
That's fair.
If I had to just go off my top of my head, I'm not going to say and go through all of them. And then you got the other three guys in the AFC North. You have Lamar Jackson. You have Deshaun Watson. You have Joe Burrow. So now you're talking about at least somewhere between 10 and 12.
Is it time for Denver to ring the alarm? Is this cold?
If they lose one more game, yes, they can turn this around. But I think what's going to have to happen is if we're Hackett, he's got to stop trying to pass the ball. He's going to have to. They're going to have to start running and methodically moving down the field and try to make Russell comfortable within the pocket. Because we're going to throw the ball and he's not. It don't seem like it's working. It doesn't. It's got to get fixed. And that team, and the thing about it is, and this is the key element, so I'm just looking at the time. This is the key element. You have a team that's ready to win now. You see what I keep saying about Cleveland?
Yep.
They understood it. They have a team that's ready to win now. We are not going back. So we're going to bring Watson in here, and we're going to do it. I'm not, as much as for whatever reason, Watson outside the field, I'm taking that out of the equation. We're ready to win now. Baltimore's not going back to a Kyler Bowler year. We're not going back to that. Cincinnati's not going back to, oh my God, who are we going to draft this year to build a team? They're not going back. The Raiders have made that clear. Chargers got their time coming up too. When the Raiders made it clear with the extension with Derek Carr, and you saw what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. We're not going back to that. We're not going back to what happened before. So the Broncos, who have a team to win now, they keep getting mediocre results, and now you just got new owners in there that put up billions of dollars to buy that team. That's not what they want to deal with. So they're going to bring a coach in there. I can tell you Hackett ain't going to make it through the year. If they lose at least 2 more straight games, he's not going to make it through the year.
Over or under?
What they lose their next 2 games?
You saying
no?
You pitting it up?
I'll give enough faith to Russell that he'll figure it out, and they will lose their next 2 games. I at least I hope not. That's all I can say.
Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now off to